Hello, everybody, and welcome to Haiku Talk. I'm your host, Ben Ga, your friendly neighborhood haiku poet, and today we're going to be taking a look at a piece from the latest issue of Acorn. It's a piece to us that comes from poet Mona Bedi, with the first line of Night Swim. All right, with that said, you know what time it is. It's time to sit back, relax, grab yourself a tasty beverage, and let's haiku. Mm. Welcome back, everybody. It's good to be with you again for another episode of Haiku Talk. This piece, again, comes from the latest issue of Acorn, and I'm just a big fan of little books like this. Just so delightful to hold and read. And this one comes from Mona Bedi, first line of Night Swim. And let's just get right to it. The poem goes like this. Night Swim. I slowly scatter the stars. Night swim. I slowly scatter the stars. This poem has such a great rhythm and musicality to it. Just really, really appreciate that. You have a bunch of the S's with swim, slowly, scatter, and stars. You have the T's in night and scatter and stars. And you have this nice rhythm of the first line with two syllables, night, swim. And they're very hard syllables, a very hard night ending with a T and a swim on an M. There's no lingering, they're just two beats, night, swim. Then you have a wonderful second line that has a lot of, let's see, I slowly scatter. So it's got rhythm to it. The first line is the I, which mimics the hard one syllable words of the first line of night, swim, and I. And then again, you also have the night, the I in night, and just the I of I, which is nice. But night, swim, and then you have I, slowly scatter. And the slowly scatter, that break up the additional two syllable words in there, kind of help emphasize what's happening in the imagery. Slowly scatter. I love that. Slowly scatter. And then it ends with another line of two words, each one syllable apiece, the stars. And the stars has a nice lingering quality to it, you know, kind of like a nice honey on the tongue or some nice flavor that lingers. The stars. You want to really accentuate that R and let it go into the plural S at the end. And that's just a really, really nice way to slowly end the piece and slowly take you into the night sky. And this really is a good example of a poem that uses syllables, the punctuation of syllables, the syllable count, the way that the words stack up with their syllables, and a musicality to the rhythm of how those play together to give you this nice flow that just lets the moment linger long after the poem ends. These are elements that I play with a lot in my own work, and I always really appreciate it when I see it in other people's poems. And this is a great example of how beats and rhythms can really accentuate the poem, accentuate the haiku, and get across, use language to get more across than just the meaning of words, by using the sound and the meter of words. And it does so, again, without being sing-songy, without calling attention to itself, which is always the hard part when you're using either rhyme or using meters or using a kind of musicality to your work, is it's got to be there. And when you do it right, it's got to be there but not call attention to itself to say, hey, look what I'm doing. I'm using meter. Ha ha ha. Look how smart I am. Look how clever I am. It's got to be a natural cadence to what the moment is. It's got to make sense with how the moment unfolds. And this one works beautifully in that regard. Again, we have night swim, bum, bum. I slowly scatter. I slowly scatter the stars. The stars. And I know that this might be a tricky thing if English isn't your native language, and perhaps depending on where in the world you are and how the language rolls off your tongue in English, it could have different cadences. You might say the words differently, stress the words differently, and that's, I don't know what to say about that. That is it. That is how it is. But for me, and this in my Midwestern American English way of hearing this song, this poem, I really hear a song like quality to the language used here, which complements the moment very, very well. And it's a great example of how to marry those two together. And for those that can hear that, as I read it and as you see these words and you read it in read it out loud yourself, hopefully you can hear that and pick that up. I will say for myself, when I'm writing, I will always read things out loud, even if it's just out loud in my head. I like to make sure that the poem sounds and moves well audibly as much as it is on the page. And that most of the time. Sometimes things work well on the page and how you break a line and how things are constructed. They're very page-centric pieces. But I like music. I like reading poems out loud and listening to poems out loud and listening to people read out loud. And so I'm very attuned to the sonic qualities of these poems. And that's a sensibility that I've had since I was a little kid. My mom used to read to me when I was a kid, and I could just listen for hours. And that sonic quality has been sort of built into me my entire life. I don't know other people out there that are encounter poems, or if you have a similar vantage point that like where you started to learn about the auditory quality of reading and hearing things out loud. I also started writing poetry way back in the day by listening to music and trying to write my own lyrics to Metallica songs. But the long passages of instrumental music, of trying to find words that fit with those rhythms, and try to understand how you can rhyme and how you can fit things into a rhythmic pattern. So again, that's a very strong quality in my own work, things that I look for when I'm writing to make sure that things sound balanced. I also really like that in poems that I read. And this one really stuck out at me at having a very nice lyric quality to it. That aside, let's look at this line by line and see how it works. And again, as I'm going through this, I'll accentuate the beats and rhythms as well. So the first line of this poem is night swim. Night swim. Again, 2 words, 1 syllable each. Night, a very tight word, a very closed word. It's like hitting a snare drum with 1 beat. It's very crisp and clean. Gets to the point. Night. And swim, equally, even though it's got the S in there and the M in there, which you can linger on a little bit, by pairing it with night swim, it just makes it a nice, crisp word rather than one you linger on. And for a first line, you're automatically triggered with your senses. You know you're outside. You know what time of day it is. You know that you're swimming. So that means you're in a tempered, what time of year is this going to happen in? It's using that suggestive language to give you a time of year. Most of us don't go on night swims in the very cold weather. Usually you go in a warmer weather. And so just by saying night swim, your senses, all of our senses are just engaged. And that's what you want to do with your first line. Grip the reader somehow, take them someplace, engage a sense, if not senses, and really activate them, pull them into this moment that you're building. And so night swim, wow, I know where I am. I'm already going through my places, through my database of of memories in my head of when I swam at night, and I'm starting to build a world here for this moment to take place. Night swim. Night swim. Okay, we go down to line 2. 3-word line, 5-syllable line. I slowly scatter. I slowly scatter. We have a nice single one letter, one word, I, that automatically puts a pause after it. When you start a line with I, it's like you're declaring something. I do this, I do that. So the spotlight is on that word, the one-letter word I, the I. I what? And it's I slowly scatter. Slowly scatter. So for the strong I, then we get to these gentle thing, 2 gentle words that come after that, both starting with S, both with two stresses in them. I slowly scatter. I slowly scatter. Very nice. Because already we had the night swim, I, and then you have slowly scatter, slowly scatter. So the poem has a rhythm. It's slowed. The tempo of the poem has changed. It's almost like it's been diffused by these 2 words, slowly scatter. We don't know what's slowly scattered yet, but suddenly from that hard night swim in a place to I slowly scatter, it makes this gentle. It pulls in a pace. It pulls in a tempo of, this isn't a hard race. This isn't a hard swim. This isn't something that has a destination, a goal in mind. No. Slowly scatter. This is a gentle thing. This is a gently paced swim at night, which sets us up beautifully for that 3rd line of the stars. The stars. Again, 2 beats, but that 2nd word, just compare the word to night and stars. Night, very, very crisp, and stars. It's like melting butter. It's 1 syllable, but it meanders with the R in there. Stars. Starts with an S, ends with an S. It's bookended. And it's just coming after that, slowly scatter, another 2 S's, to that last word being a 2S, 1 word, stars. It's just a gentle thing that lets you linger off into that moment, linger off and see these stars scattering around you. And I'm just left in that moment, kind of floating, looking around, feeling the night air, looking at the stars. The clouds are gone. It's a beautiful night. There's no mention of a moon, but the stars are out. And what a lovely moment to have captured. And what a world that we're allowed to build in that moment. Again, a haiku's brevity allows us to enter in that moment and fill in all the white space around those few words with a world that we build from our own imagination, from our own life experience. And that's what completes the haiku. That's what makes it happen. And that's what we lose ourselves in this moment. I don't really care what Mona Bedi experienced specifically. I don't care. We're not supposed to care. We're supposed to go where the moment takes us. We're supposed to experience this night swim ourselves. And every one of us that's encountering this poem, that builds this in our mind, can detail this moment out in 1,000 words. Everyone is going to be different. Different location, different place. Are you by yourself? Are you with people? Are you in your present life, or is this a past time that you're re-experiencing through this poem? Is this something that you've always wanted to do, go swimming at night, but haven't done it yet? If so, where does this poem take you? It's amazing what so few words and so few syllables can do when they're put together just right, and they engage the senses. And in this case, it not only engages the senses, but it engages my ear through musicality that helps underscore what's happening in the poem to make a really fine, exquisite piece. Not much more to say. You don't need anything more than this. This is superb. And with that, it's time to wrap up another episode. Thank you all for tuning in. Like this episode if you have enjoyed yourselves. Click the thumbs up. If you've liked this and like this content, think about subscribing to the channel. Because the more subscribers we get, the more frequently this type of thing shows up in people's algorithms when they're searching or scrolling. And if you like, subscribe, think about ringing the bell to be notified when new episodes arise. Thank you very much. It means a lot that you tune in and listen to this little channel. You're sharing these moments. We're sharing these moments together, sharing these poems, sharing these journals, sharing the work of living poets, doing this today. It's a celebration of all of those things. And thanks for celebrating with me. Until next time, peace and peace.